Welcome back to a normal stock update video today. We will talk today about Tesla. We will look at Unity again because the stop is a little bit too massive. We will make a little update on SAVA. We will also do a bigger update on NIO because we didn't talk about it lately. We will do an update on FCEL again. We will look what GNS has done. And I will make a little update on FFAI because it was wished. And at the end, we will look at 3 community stocks. If you are interested, just stay tuned. As always, I'm using the fractal method. I will link the explanation video at the end of the video, or you just search for the playlist fractal method on my channel. Okay, then let's start with Tesla. So for Tesla, I will do a summary of the main tracking, and then we will look what we have done in the last weeks. So for the main tracking, the V for Tesla was in July 2010. Till then, till June 2019 was just our A. I know it wasn't a 0.5 pullback for A or a 618, but still fine. From 2019 till December 2022, this was just our B, our macro B. And here comes the little asshole moves from Tesla, because normally you're putting your A bottom, your fib, to the B peak and waiting for the 0.5 pullback. And here Tesla is doing every time the same. It teasing you, now we're going to the 0.5, and quite far above it, it bounces. And it do that every time. I will show that later. And since December 2022, we are still in the run to our C. And we don't even made half through it. So we will look at this now. Here's only our C run. Yeah? And for our C run, we did from January 2023 till April 2024. This was our beautiful high low. From 2024 till April 2025, this was just our middle A. Here also from our V to our A, perfect 0.5 bounce. And now we are still looking for our middle B, this middle B, because we didn't got that yet. So what have we done till March 2025 till today? We just did our little A and little B. And we are now standing in front of the run to our little C, which is our middle B, which is bringing us to our big C. It's a lot of letters. For just even more zoomed in, go a little lower on the time frame, we already did our little micro high low here. We already did our A and A pullback here again, from our low to our peak. Nice 0.5 bounce. And now we already, in the best case, did our little B peak. Here also, again, you're taking from your A bottom, fib. First of all, I thought this was our B peak on October 2025. And here again, it teased us, we're going to the 0.5. No, we don't. Our real B peak was this here, but here again, it teased us. No, I bounce. It's always the same. So, is this B pullback already finished? Now we zoom in here. So, zoomed in, here's our B peak on December 2025. Here's our most likely already our bottom. What are we doing right now? We now just have to do a little micro high low before we run. And I still think this micro high low will be finished in this week or next week. at least end of February, which is only 2 weeks left. So this micro higher low, what have we done already? Well, we already did our V. This is already our nice little micro higher low. Then we did a nice A with A pullback, nearly on the 0.5. Then we did a B again, which isn't a 0.5 because Tesla hates us. We already got our little peak for the higher low, our lower high. And the last thing we did on Friday, in my opinion, was our midpoint. So if we're not suddenly doing something like this bullshit, yeah, which I don't think, and it's a short weeks normally red weeks, I think we will go down, go up maybe, this would be then our T, and then we have to do our V&A, which is 397. Yeah. The thing is, we still have a gap here. I think if we do this pullback, we will gap fill this, and then we will go. Yeah. Important part is we have to hold this level here. If we touch 387.56, only touching, I'm not even talking about breaking, only touching. If we're touching this, this was T. In that case, there's still a possibility that Tesla has to go a little bit more into the direction of the 0.5, 368. Because of the past, I still think we won't touch the 0.5, yeah, because Tesla is always teasing us. But if we break this level, something like this, yeah, in this area, near the 0.5, but not on the 0.5. But all in all, this thing looks fucking ready to rip faces off. And I know market isn't looking that great right now, but I really have to say, in the past, you already saw that so many times, Tesla is doing its own thing. It doesn't care what NASDAQ, Dow Jones, or SPYs do. It's doing its own thing. So I'm not worried at all what the market in general is doing. This thing looks fucking ready to go. No financial advice. Next one is Unity. So for Unity, I found an alternative. Just saying. For the normal tracking, nothing changed. Unity started its tracking in the round B, made it C, lower high, midpoint T, V. What is important, T was already our A. Our next target should be B, which should be over 109 for your next target. There's just a little thing. We did our V, we did our perfect high low, we did our A. Normally A is pulling back to the 0.5 or 0.618. We broke that. It's not bad yet, but if you look here, you're already near the 786 fib. If you touch or break that, this can't be A anymore. Yeah. If you bounce here, perfect, you go to B, but you should bounce here. Problem with this is this already broke and this already broke. So you really have to bounce here, make a little micro higher low, and then just go. If not, if you break here to the 786, this can't be A anymore. Means the alternative would be this. This whole thing would be just higher low, which poorly also would make sense if you are under the T line. Your new trend line would be this. Means you would still go down something under $17, bounce here, then you will go up, break out of this trend line. Your A would still be something over $60, break or retest, and then we go to our B. Yeah. Sadly, this wasn't possible to see, yeah? But we are way too low. I mean, not yet. If we bounce here, perfect. If we go lower, this isn't A, this is higher low. In the end, this should still be a good play to the upside. So let's see. Okay, next one is SAVA. So as always, for this stock, careful. It's a 100% risk stock. It's a bio company. And if you're not going into shares, if you're going to options, if you're not getting our move to the upside, you won't get out of that. Why are we looking at it? Just because it's doing always the same. Peak, gap down, sideways, gap up. Peak, gap down, sideways, gap up. Peak, gap down, sideways, gap up. Yeah? Always the same. And for our tracking now, it's just our normal ABC LMT. Peak, gap down, sideways. So in the best case, now comes the gap up. About what gap we are talking about? We're talking about the gap between $5 and $26. Yeah? We start with the bearish version, and the bearish version is just this. You're right now somewhere in here. You will massively knife down. You make a new all-time low. This section would be your next 4 to 6 months, and somewhere in summer and October you have the next chance to gap up. Yeah? Still stands, still possible. For our two bullish versions. For the first bullish version would mean April 2025 was our V. Since then, we just did our massively higher low. And in that case, we already finished the higher low. Yeah? No, yeah, this was it. We already finished the higher low. We went V under A. We already bounced on it. And right now, we would just do our micro higher low. If we're not suddenly jumping on Tuesday massively upside, we will do a micro higher low, which would mean you're not breaking over this trend line, which would mean you have to come down to $1.93. Higher micro higher low finished, gap up. This would be the most bullish version if you're not just gapping on Tuesday. The more, it's not bearish, but it would take more time, would be this. Yeah, the higher low isn't finished. You take your fib from the B to the top. Your 786 is at 158-ish. Here's also your A bottom. So in that case, you would fall most likely this or next week till you drop under 146, at least 1 cent. And then you can, maybe you're still doing a little micro higher low then, and then you go. These are the two most bullish versions. But again, as I said, very, very, very risky play. Yeah? Stocks, not so bad with shares. With options, I mean, we are looking for a 1000% move. With options, this would be a 10,000% move. But as I said, if you buy and we're not getting this move, you won't be able to get out of them. Just saying. Okay, next one, NEO. So for NEO, nothing really changed, but we didn't do an update for, I think, 1 or 2 weeks. So for the summary, NEO started its IPO in the A pullback, in the macro A pullback. The V from that was on September 19, 2019. Then we started our big B. The B was finished in April 2025. And right now we are in the move to our big C. And the big C has to go over the latest B high, means something over 69. So is this little, so what sorry, what have we done? We made our B pullback, did our V, higher low, broke out of the trend. And this here is just our little middle A. Yeah? We do our A, our B, and then our C. And this C is also the big macro C. So after that, NEO will dive. But I mean, who cares? Yeah? First of all, we have to go to our B. Our next target, whenever this A pullback is finished, is over $16. Yeah? Maybe even more. So for NEO, not really much changed, yeah, in the last 2 weeks, but the latest update is already a little while ago. So for NEO started its IPO or its fractal in the A pullback. The A pullback was finished on September 2019. Then we started our macro B, our big B, and the B pullback was finished on April 2025. And right now, we are in the start of the run to our big C, macro C. And this macro C has to be over the B peak, so over $86. So what have we done till today? Well, we made our B low, made a perfect higher low out of that, broke out of the trend line, went to our T line, which is our A peak, made an A pullback. We will look if it's finished or not. Whenever this is finished, we will go to our B. And in my opinion, it still stands between, no financial advice, between 25 April or June 29th. Should be already our B peak, which should be over the M line, around over $16. Only question is if we're really doing this B pullback, because we're comparing it to the run from 2019 to 2021. You had a little B pullback here, but it was only a short one. It was pretty steep after we finished A. And after we did this B, your next middle C is also your big C. Yeah? Just saying. So let's look if this pullback from A is already finished. So here again, here's our low from our B. Here's our perfect higher low. Here's our outbreak to the A. Also, I will show in a second, we already did this exact same move in 2019, 2020 with the exact same head and shoulder, but this in a second. If we take our FIB from our low to our peak, we perfectly bounced at a 618. Perfectly. Are we finished now? Well, question is this little thing enough for a higher low, micro higher low or not? I mean, it's tiny higher, yeah? So if we're just going up from here, yeah, this tiny micro higher low is okay, and we go. If not, yeah, we are doing right now our normal small higher low. This would be our small higher low. And we would already gone our peak of this. And last Thursday was already our M. In that case, we would go down. I mean, it's a short week. Most of the time, short weeks are red weeks. So we would go down, come up again, T, and then we will fall. To where? Well, to the 786, which is at 455. Only question is we still have a little gap here. So if we're really going down here, I think we will fill this gap. And then we go. All in all, this thing looks fucking ready for a run. Yeah? And I'm still predicting our B peak at least, if we're not doing something stupid, no financial advice, should be something between April and June. Let's see. Okay, next one is FCEL. Also, FCEL is a little bit stuck in limbo right now, because we're just going sideways. It's waiting on something. I updated the tracking a little bit to make it easier and to understand it better. FCEL started its IPO in its run to its B, but only the sideways action of its B. After that, it went to its all-time high, to its C, then lower high, midpoint, T, all-time low. For levels, if we take our rules one by one, our next A is at 880 and our next B is at 20K. Again, without a forward split, you won't reach this target. If this company isn't doing a forward split, in my opinion, this line will be a rejection line and you will die. Just saying. So what will happen next? Because who cares what happens in 2 or 3 years? We did our all-time low. And for whatever stupid run we want to get, we still need our higher low. There are two versions for that. First version would be the normal version. You have your trend line here, means here's your V, means you have to do your higher low, which won't break 890, which won't break this trend line. You will fall down again, and then you get whatever massive new move we want. The second version for this is, because I already showed in my tutorial video, what happens when your T is too short to reach this trend line. Then you just take your trend line from your M to your T. And this is your new trend line not to break. In that case, your next higher low would be something like this. You won't break over this trend line, so maximum $55, $60. Finish the higher low, and then you get this massive move. Has to be proven now, but but I already saw this many times. So, what are we doing right now in here? Well, let's zoom in. For the tiny macro tracking, we did our all-time low on May 2025. We did a perfect higher low here, perfect higher low under the 786, under V&A. We also did a perfect micro higher low, and in the second we finished this, we broke out. So thing is, we are ready. We are now under the T line. Fine. But this is still, if you take it from here to here, a perfect 618. As long as this level is holding, this was already our tiny A. Yeah? And since then, we're just spending time. That's the whole thing. Because these two iterations here are just two single higher micro high lows. So this is a micro high low, perfect under 786. And this is a perfect high low under the 786. So we have two little stupid higher lows now, 1 and 2. Yeah? And maybe we adding a third one, yeah? Which would mean if this is another micro higher low, you have to come down here to 653 and then you go. Yeah, it's stupid, but this is just the fractal is waiting for something. Next moves, as I showed, two things. First, we're doing the B and then C, topping out here at 784 is something, 787, 60, something in this range. If we do that, we already have our V&A, which is 575. So you will come down here again, and then you get a big move. Or if this white trend line is nothing, and we don't care about that, and for especially we breaking it, would mean we will go up A, B, C. And this would be our higher low. Yeah? So our next B for this would be 221, and our next C would be 900. I mean, both moves are pretty good. This move would be ridiculous. To what we're comparing this to, or I, would be this section here. Let's go on the 10 hour. Yeah. We would be right now in this V. And especially, we would be not in this V, we would be already in this candle here. So this should be standing in front of us, which would mean we don't even get a little A, a little B. No, you just go. Yeah. The question is just when. I would think till summer. The absolute bullish version would be, I mean, right now when I'm looking at it, it's not matching that perfectly anymore, but that would mean that we already did this and we already did this. In that case, we would be right now in this sideways channel here. And that would mean we're getting really this big move. This is the move to 900. This is the version I showed you that we move to 900. Yeah? If we do that. Yeah? Confirmation would be a gap up. Yeah? Because back then here at the if it's only doing the higher low, there was no gap up. If we gap up, we're doing this. So let's see. It still looks perfect and for a money maker. No? Okay. Next one is GNS. So GNS, in my opinion, is also very close. The thing is, GNS started its fractal at its peak, its C, and just fell since then. So since April 2022, it was just falling. Lower high, midpoint, T, all-time low. The only reason why we look at this stock is every time it makes a low, finishing the higher low, it gets a massive move. Here, higher low, massive move. V, higher low, massive move. V, higher low, massive move. That's the only reason. Yeah? Because it's for sure not the fundamentals. So we already got our V. And since this V in March 2025, we are doing a higher low. I mean, it's over the trend line. I mean, you could also make this trend line like this, but then you don't have touch points. But I mean, this would be the correct way because the higher low is always under the trend line. Is this higher low finished already? And here's the tricky part. Because if we look at this, we already got last Friday, I think it was 10% a move. Normally that looks like much, but I mean, this was the 10% move for GNS. High percentage moves under 100% isn't much. Yeah? My thing is, I think we didn't finish this higher low yet. First of all, we're taking from our V to our top, the fib. The 786, where the higher low is normally ending, is down here. Our A bottom is at $30. I think we still have to go a little bit lower. Which should mean you still have to come down here, which is 30%, but for GNS that's not much. Under 30 cents, at least 1 cent, and then you're ready to go. For levers, first of all, for levers for the upside, if you break over 82 cents, forget the downside. Then we are too high, then we are going. For normal levers, our next A is over $6-7. Then we would do a pullback. And then our next B is at $85. B pullback C. Only thing with this is, normally, as I said before, you're doing your V, your higher low, run. V, higher low, run. V, higher low, run. Every time. So I can't say it isn't possible that whenever this higher low is finished, you suddenly get just a run to the next peak. And in that case, this isn't T, this isn't M, this isn't lower high. Yeah? This higher low is the macro higher low. So whatever comes after this is, for me personally, only the question, are you breaking all-time highs or are you rejecting all-time highs? Yeah? So, could be interesting. Okay, next one is FFAI. For FFAI, I got the question if I lost interest in this stock. No. Yeah. All stocks, especially the stocks which I present, so no wishes from you, so which I present, I track to the death. Yeah. I don't delete any of them. I track them to the death. The only problem with FFAI is right now it's not doing anything. We still need the confirmation for the V. For the main tracking, its C was in January 2021, lower high, midpoint, massive T. In the last tracking, this here was our higher low, and it looked beautiful till this candle. This candle destroyed this higher low, and this became just tiny t, and we fell to a new low. Yeah. So for the tracking, for start with price targets and levels. Whenever this down here is finished, your next target is A, which is 153, and for B, 5,000. The same like FCEL, without a forward split, you won't reach these targets. No chance. If there's no forward split, this line here will be your rejection line. You won't go over 53, and you will die. Yeah. But for whatever we are doing with splits or no splits, first of all, we have to find the V. Yeah. We have to find somewhere in here the V, the bottom. I mean, we could say this could be already now our V, and we're starting now with our micro higher low. Yeah. If this is true, we don't allow it to touch or break 60 cents. Yeah. So we have to do this little micro higher low and then go. Yeah. But still, even if this is holding because of time, because that's the only thing which is interesting, you still have to do the macro higher low. And that means you still have to do something like this. Not breaking over this trend line, macro higher low, and then you can go again. And I know now people will say, no, we're gapping and running from the V. We just never did that. Yeah? Well, if we look at the big squeezes, yeah, here especially, December 2024, higher low squeeze. May 2024, higher low and then squeeze. February 2023, higher low and then squeeze. July 2022, higher low and then squeeze. Yeah. So I can only track what I see and what the stock was doing in the past. If you tell me now this time it will be different, like every time everyone is saying, okay, fine. If you do it, then do it. I track it. We're doing high low and then we squeeze. And this could take time. And first of all, we have to have confirmation for the V. Yeah. And one last thing, the main problem here is fractal, if you predict it, if you analyze it right, it can be a big helper and telling you perfectly what the stock is doing. What the fractal can't tell you is a reverse split coming, especially at 60 cents? Is the stock going bankrupt and delisting? That is something that the fractal can't predict. And we are in dangerous low territory right now. And it's an electric car company. Yeah. So let's see. I promise you, I have it on my watch list. I look it up every day if I see something. Yeah? And if something is changing, I make an update. Okay, now to the community wishes. So, first one is TLRY brands. The old tracking still stands. Yeah? I have I found an alternative. If I didn't show that the last time, I really don't know anymore. But first, the main tracking, it's still, we have one tractor from July 2018 till March 2020, and we have the second one. If we completely playing out this in a bullish way, we have got our C, our M, our T, and our all-time low, our V. We already did our little micro high low, broke out of the trend line, and made our A. The thing is, this A is under the T. That's why I have a second version too. But for this bullish tracking, this would mean take a fib from the low to the peak. You bounce at the 8618 2 times. But your A would be finished here. And this here would be just a little higher low. We made a higher low. So in this case, you take a fib from here to here. Higher low would be finished. For the bullish tracking, in the worst way, this would be just a micro higher low right now. Yeah. So in the worst case for the bullish tracking, you still have to come under 7.23 and then you go up. Your next target would be your B, which is stupid, which would be over 227. Yeah? That would be the bullish tracking. For this, you are not allowed to touch or break 690 again. If you touch or break 690, then this whole thing here would be just your higher low. In that case, you would be somewhere in this downtrend right now. Your trend line would be this, because normally your higher low isn't going over the trend line. And the thing is, your higher low is under the T. So what would that mean? In that case, this here, this peak here would be just M, and you still have to go to 520. Yeah? Or if you look at closer, your A would be this, so you still have to go at least 1 cent under 549. Yeah? Would mean you still have to go lower here, bounce, then you would go up to your A, which would be something around and over $31. Then you're doing A pullback, B pullback, C. Yeah? I mean, you could say maybe you don't need these big pullbacks, because you would just do this version again. Yeah? To what I would lean more, to be truthful, I would like more this version, because normally your A is over your T line. But it's just levels for me. If you break over $15, this down version is off the table and you go up. But if you touch or break 690 again, you will do this. You will have to come down, and then your next chance to go up. Okay. Okay. Next one is ARQQ. So ARQQ Quantum, I think you spelled it. I have to say, okay, normally I always say I hate stocks which are younger than 3 years. Yeah. This is slightly at the border of this. The main problem with ARQQ Quantum is that you don't have a lot of price action you can use here. So I try to track it as possible, as good as possible as I can. The C, all-time high, of course, September 21. Then lower high. This should be your midpoint. And now we have two versions, and that's the shit part. For the bullish version, your T was February 23. Then your all-time low was October 2024. In that case, in my opinion, you're still doing your higher low. And in the best way, you already did your peak in October 17, 2025. Still, that would mean you have to go to 530, yeah? Which is also your 786. Yeah? So you have to go down here, bounce, and then your next A would be over 101, pullback B, if you're not just doing something stupid. The alternative, and that's why I said I don't like to track stocks which have so less price action, I would say, because it could easily be that this peak here is just our D. In that case, because we don't know how the fractal looked before. In that case, you have to do a new all-time low. Then you do your higher low, and then you go to your A. Yeah, and that's a shitty part, because we can play now the levels game. Yeah. Problem is, okay, I could tell you now, if we go over $62, perfect, we go up, but that's easy. Everyone would say that, even without fractal. Only problem is, I can absolutely tell you, if you break under 10,777, it already looks like it's sure that we're doing the higher low. But then you have to bounce somewhere at 688. But that's already from 17 to 688 is already a massive jump to the downside. Yeah? And here you still have the danger that this could still be T. And you wouldn't know that till 450. And in my opinion, then it would be already too late. Yeah. So if you really want to play that, or if you are in, no financial advice, I would just wait. Yeah. I would wait. First of all, in my opinion, this is 60% a higher low, no financial advice. So I would wait for an entry at least till 688. And if you go in here and you're breaking under 450, I would just wait for the new all-time low and then the higher low and so on and so on and so on. Yeah, there is not really much others to say here. Sorry. Okay, und letztes ist BICO. So for BICO, the same in another way, because BICO is already an older company. IPO 2017, 2016, but still not much price action. Yeah. The only thing you can use some tricks here. So what is this? Yeah, because if you look at it, you could just say, yeah, this could be A, B, C, higher, low. Yeah, because you just see a run from low to high to low. Yeah, but the thing is, if you take from your low to your peak, you already can see some things. First of all, if this would be a macro A, so the whole thing as an A, it should have bounced here. It didn't. Same if this would be a B, yeah? Because you should have bounced 0.5618. You didn't. So it can't be an A or an B. So which is still left is a higher low or a C. Yeah, these two versions would be there. So this whole thing could be a big C or a higher low. So if you track this bullish, let's start with the bearish one. If this is a C, you will make a new low under $9 because the C is always ending in a V under A. That means you make a new low. Yeah? Can't say this can't happen. I don't know the fundamentals of this company. Second, this is just a higher low. In that case, you take a fib from the low to the peak, you're already under the 786. Perfect. Then we look, where is the bottom of your previous A? And this would be this here, on December 2016. And I think in the last weeks, yeah, here, January 2026, we dropped under the V and A. So in the best case, this was your bottom. And in the best case, you already did your micro higher low, yeah, would be also finished, which would mean from here on, it's upside. Now the question is, what will happen next? So we already did our micro higher low, but this is not enough for this one. So in my opinion, you still need your higher low for this downtrend. This higher low won't break this trend line most likely. So your higher low would look like something like this. You would go up, you wouldn't break $25, make your V&A, and then you go to your A. Break out of this trend line. Your next A would be something over $27. Also interesting, you have a gap here. So most likely your A peak will be this gap fill. Yeah, so something, what is it? $87. Then you will do your A pullback, go up to your B. Your B's should be around something over 146, B pullback. And then the only question is, are you breaking all-time highs or not? Also, if you look at this section here, the IPO from BICO started from the V, higher low, squeeze to A. Yeah? So if we're repeating IPO, the run to A after the higher low should be quick. The run to B, in the other hand, would be something like this. That would mean if we really repeating the fractal again, this really could take time. Yeah? But at least we could play the A. Maybe even we could play the A pullback, because if we're repeating the same shit, the A pullback should also be very quick and very drastic. And then I would say, if we're repeating that, if you want to go long term, buy some shares, hold them for the next years. Yeah, it's not looking that bad. Yeah, even without looking at fundamentals at all. Okay. Well, I think that was everything. As always, if you liked it, leave a like. Explanation video for the method here, playlist here. And if you want to see more, you can leave another. Let's see what this week is giving us. See ya.